Good afternoon, everybody. This is Sue Sanders, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Lake Ozark, Missouri in the United States. Welcome to my live Facebook video for 3 on Thursday, where I come to you every Thursday at 3 o'clock, and I bring you 3 different projects. Today, we are going to be working with the Merriest Moments stamp set bundle with their Merriest Moment frames. I want to remind everybody that my December host code, if you are not in my monthly club class, is 94QEXMBC. Once you put that host code in, remember to hit the apply button so that it can be applied to that order. You can also reach me at susieqstamping@gmail.com if you have any questions. And my blog is susieqstamping.com. So I just wanted to show you this afternoon a card that I made this week. It is called a bay window card. So can you see this okay out there in television land or video land? So it stands up on its own. So it stands like this. And then the little greeting on the the right hand side, it is just popped up with some pop dots on one side, and then you have your message on the inside. And so then the recipient can set it up and have it viewable. So I made it with the Penguin Playmates stamp set and dies. So that was just something that I kind of played with this week. I want to remind you all that the August to December mini catalog of 2021 will be retiring at the end of December. Some of the items are being carried over to where you can order them before they run out, but you can order them after the December 31st retirement of the mini catalog. But don't fear, we have a new mini catalog coming in January, and this one will run from January to June. Hi Karen, hi Cindy, nice of you to join me today. I'm so glad. I can't show you what's in this catalog right now, but I can tell you that I have ordered some stamp sets from here. And starting probably next week, my 3 on Thursdays is going to be focused on new product from this catalog or product from the Celebration catalog. This runs from January 4th through February 28th, and this is where you can earn free products, whether it be paper or stamp sets, or both, when you spend $100 or $50, depending on how much you spend, is what you will get. So those 2 things are coming up in January. Like I said, next week, my 3 on Thursday will probably be focusing on new product and what we can do with the new product come January. But let's focus today. First I have to show you and tell you who the winner is for last week's cards for 3 on Thursday. Remember, I used this with the honeycomb, it's a new stamp set, honeycomb home. Let's see, I took it off my shelf today. Anyway, these are a new stamp set that is coming out in the new mini catalog. So this is a fold-out card that stands up. This is one that we used the basic border dies on, and then used the remainder of the paper on the inside of that card. And this is the collar card, and that's the inside of that. So the winner of these 3 cards for commenting on last week's 3 on Thursday, which was Thanksgiving, I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving, is Sterling Sutton. So Sterling, you are the winner for these cards, and I will get those to you. You will have them to add to your stash for when you are away, that you can send cards home. So I hope you will enjoy those. We're just going to set those aside. It's sometimes too difficult to get them back in while I'm on camera. Okay, let me grab a drink real quick here. Alright, so remember, when you comment on my 3 on Thursday, you are entered into a drawing, and you have from now until next Wednesday night, which is the 8th, to make your comment, and then I pick the winner by putting your names into my magic hat on my phone, which is an app. Okay, so let's start today with making a very simple but elegant looking card. And this is the card that we're going to be making today. And it is using the Angels of Peace stamp set. The Noel is out of a stamp set, and I didn't pull it. I had it for a class this morning, and I didn't pull it back out. I just pulled the Noel off of it. I'm thinking that it might be the Peaceful Deer. I think that's where that Noel is from. But it's also using the paper from the Whimsey and Wonderful paper pack. It's just the silver diagonal embossed type paper. And I'm using Misty Moonlight. Okay. And then some of the silver twine. So let's get started on this. Our little angel is embossed. She does emboss very nicely. So here's our supplies. We have a regular card base that measures 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Then we have a piece of the Misty Moonlight that measures, I believe it's 1/8 of an inch shorter for us. It is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then our designer series paper that we're using is 4 by 5 1/4. Then I have a piece of Misty Moonlight that measures at 1 7/8 by 4 1/8. And then a piece of white that we're going to use to stamp our little angel on. It measures at 1 6/8. I always have to count my eighths up. I can't see it very well in my head. By about 4 inches. So let's get our little embossing buddy out here. Now, Stampin' Up does not sell these anymore. Hi, Pat. I'm glad that you were able to get in today. But if you have one, they are very handy when you are embossing. If you don't have one, you can find them out there on Amazon, or you could even make your own by using like maybe a baby sock, some material if you want to sew it, put some cornstarch or baby powder in here. It's just something to take away that static when you are embossing, because you don't want to have all the extra embossing powder on your cardstock. So we're going to begin by swiping our embossing buddy over our cardstock. And here is our angel. And we are going to use our Versamark to stamp with. There's my embossing powder. And you want to make sure that you ink up your stamp really well. Versamark is a very sticky ink, so it's used a lot. Usually that's all we use for our embossing with our embossing powders. But there's other ways that you can use it also. And I'm going to turn this way so that I can get it lined up to stamp. And many people will emboss more than one thing. I don't, so I'm going to emboss my angel, and then I'll come back and I'll emboss my words. That way I know that I'm not touching something, because you really can't see the embossing powder or the embossing Versamark on the cardstock. Sometimes you can if it's a colored cardstock, but this is white. So I'm going to put my powder back in its container. I always do that, otherwise I know I'm going to make a mess. I am stamping with a photopolymer stamp, so I do need to get my stamping pad out here And I'm just using the piece that I have from my Stamparatus. And we're going to go ahead and use our embossing buddy again, just right up here at the top, so that I can stamp my Noel. And I kind of wanted Noel not to be straight across. I kind of wanted it to have a little whimsy in it. So I did put it on a little bit of an angle, but you can do it however you want. So there is my Noel, and we're going to move this out of the way so it doesn't get embossing powder all over it, and emboss our Noel. So there's our stamps with the embossing powder on them. So I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Ate lots of turkey and all the good fixings. We did have a very small gathering. When I say small, it was just my husband, my mom, and my daughter and I. My granddaughter was with her dad, and my grandson is out in California. So now I'm going to go to my embossing gun, my heat gun, real quick. So I'll be right back, ladies. This might get loud, so... Hi, Cherie. I am so glad that you are here. I haven't seen you online for a while. Most of you, or many of you, have seen the embossing powders, but there might be some people new to my videos that haven't. So it goes on as a powder, and then it melts, and it gets shiny. And I should have got my tweezers out to hold this, but it's heating up pretty quick here, so it'll be all right. This heat gun, my assistant got me some tweezers. The heat gun does get very hot. Mine is not a Stampin' Up one, but it's one that I've had for years and years before I became a Stampin' Up demonstrator. But Stampin' Up does sell them, so you can purchase them at my online store. So there we have our embossed piece. I'm going to go ahead and stamp our inside of the card, because if I mess up, then I can get another piece of cardstock. And I am using Misty Moonlight for that greeting. And this greeting is from the piece, or the Angels of Peace. And it says, "Peace on earth, goodwill towards men." And I'm just tapping my stamp, but I do have some excess on the edge. So we're going to try to wipe that off. Hopefully I don't rock it. And this is a red rubber, so I don't need to have that matte underneath it. I do, however, need to be able to see where I'm stamping, and that is a little bit crooked. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that on the outside, because I'm going to cover it up anyway, and I'm going to stand up to stamp this so that I can look directly down on it. As I've gotten older, I've realized that I need to stand up to stamp so that I'm looking down on it and not at a sideways like I used to be able to. That one's really crooked. Let me get another card base, because you can only mess up twice. So give me just a second. Let me cut another card base, and I'm going to reposition that stamp on my block. I think it may have gotten knocked off. So here's my trimmer, and I'm lining it up. It's at 5.5. We're going to just shave off just about a 1/16 of an inch. I had used this for another card project. We're going to score it at the 4 1/4 mark. Our Stampin' Up trimmers do have two blades, the scoring blade as well as the cutting blade, and then it has the clear track that you can see through. Out of all the trimmers that I've had in my past 15 to 20 years of stamping and card making, or scrapbooking, I mean. Stampin' Up's is the one that I would recommend. It has the 16ths on it. It's very easy to read. The arm comes out to 17 inches, so you can cut the big 12 by 12 papers. Doing rulers and math used to really spook me, and it took me a long time to realize how to read a ruler. I know some people it just comes as a natural thing. To me, it didn't, so I had to really work at it. But our trimmer has made it so easy. I am going to try this out here and see and make sure that it is straight. Much better. I think sometimes the font makes it look off. And it could just be my old eyes. We're going to get it to where it is as straight as I can. See, even demonstrators have issues. That is just like nut. My one this morning, when I put it together, it just went really good. We're going to count that as good. So bring in my cardstock again. I think I must twist my block or something as I lay it down. Well, I just don't understand what I am doing wrong today with this stamp. But I'll tell you what, ladies, my example one that I show you, or that I have, I can send that one to you because it's stamped perfect. I've seen many demonstrators not put the labels on their stamps, and I am starting to understand why. If those labels are not placed on there just correctly, then you're looking at that label. See, I looked at the label. We're going to count that it's not going to be this way. You're not going to get this card, but I'm not going to play with this stamp anymore. So I will finish. You will get this card. See how nice and neat it's stamped on there. So I don't know what my issue is right now, but we're going to go ahead and I will use this card. I will just put another piece of paper in here with the stamped greeting because I'm not wasting any more time on a messed up. So I am going to get ahead of myself here. I want to lay my DSP down first, which is Designer Series paper, and that means that it is got a design on both sides. So this silver one that I'm using today has this little green polka dot on one side, and then the silver foil on the other side, and that's the side that we're going to use. And because I did get a hold of myself, or ahead of myself, squeaky drawer, I'm looking for my silicone mat. Don't know where it disappeared to either. I can have things all organized and think I'm all ready to go, and I'm not. The silicone mat is a great thing to have in your basic supplies. Glue and hot glue and the tape runner will not stick to this. So see how I have tape runner on this already, the Stampin' Seal Plus? Well, it's not going to stick to my mat, so I can go ahead and lay that down and then position my Designer Series paper. And then the next thing that I have to do is I need to cut some of our silver cording, and I'm going to wrap this around about a third of the way down, and I'm going to tie it into a nice little bow. Hopefully, on camera it'll work. And sometimes I leave my cording on the big spool, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I will cut it off beforehand. Today I just left it on there. I don't want big loops on my bow, so there is, and these loops will straighten out, or these strings will straighten out. They've just been on that spool for a while, so we're going to give them a little bit of a haircut here. And you can have as big a loops or as small a loops as you want. It's your preference. And like I said, this will relax. Now, I am going to take one of our mini glue dots, and I am going to place it on here, but someone brought it to my attention that she's seen a video, and one of the demonstrators said that these glue dots will dry out eventually. It might take a while, but they do dry out, which means that they will lose their adhesive and then they will fall off. So that's just a pointer that when you're using the glue dots, like on ribbon, on a wider ribbon, I would probably use just a tad bit of glue to attach that ribbon also along with that glue dot. Alright, so now that that is done, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over, and I'm going to finish applying the Stampin' Seal Plus. That is the strong adhesive, and I like using it much better than I do the Stampin' Seal. The Stampin' Seal, for some reason, does not like me, and it doesn't like to roll out right. I am putting some of that Stampin' Seal on my twine, or my cording, so that it will stick to my card, and that way it'll ensure that that bow won't just, that ribbon won't fall off. So you can either use the liquid glue or your tape runner, your Stampin' Seal. Now we're going to apply our little angel white piece to our Misty Moonlight. Can y'all believe the temperature today? I am like, oh my, here it is, the 2nd of December, and it's in the 70s. It could stay in the 70s all December, except for Christmas Day. Then I wouldn't mind if it snowed a little bit, but I don't want snow. Do y'all know that there's only 22 days left until Christmas? It's not very many. How are we all doing on our cards for Christmas? Have you got them ready to send out? So this is our adhesive strips, and you can buy these in long sheets. This was one that I had in a paper pumpkin kit, and at my American Heritage Girl meeting the other night, the girls stamped some Christmas cards, and they made them popped up with these strips. So I thought, well, I'm just going to use those strips for this card and save my dimensionals for other things that are smaller. And then I'm going to just use a half a one for my two ends. So if I hadn't played around with that silly stamp for the inside of the greeting, this card does not take that long at all to put together. So you could mass produce this one because you can stamp both the Noel and the Angel and then emboss them together and assemble all your cards. So I'm going to put this over here towards the right hand side, and I'm going to leave a little bit more space at the bottom than I do at the top. So there is our finished card. Like I said, you will get this one where the inside is nicely stamped and it's all even. So that is card number 1. Now let me clean up this mess, and card number 2 is really quite easy as well. Well, it is. I just Don't understand why my stamping is not very straight today. Well, I think it's because of my eyes and the position where I'm standing. I don't know. But this one, we are going to use the Merriest Moments frame set and one of the stamp sets, or one of the stamps from the Merriest Moments. The Thinking of You This Festive Season, and A Joyful Christmas to You and Yours. Then this is the die set. So you get 16 dies. You have little flowers, you have berry dies, you have pine boughs and flower leaves, and then you have a poinsettia, holly, and another flower, and another die that you cut out. So I'm going to show you, first off, I know I need that one, but first off, what I did was I used the embossing folder that is the 3D hybrid that came with this bundle and suite. So this is the embossing folder. You can see that there is this little cutout in the center that you can stamp in, or you could put an image in. It has holly, it has leaves, and then it has little dots all around it, and it's even got some pine branches down here. So that's what I did with this one here. So my card base is the 5.5 by 8.5, scored at the 4 1/4. Then this is my normal card layer, which is 4 by 5 1/4. This is our inside piece, and it's cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And I stamped in the Blushing Bride, which is the paper that we're using, the cardstock and the ink on the inside, and then I used the Bumblebee yellow to do my little dots for the flowers, okay? And the reason that I have this already stamped, ready to put together, was because I want to focus more on the way you cut these dies with that hybrid embossing folder. Because this is embossed, I'm going to use my liquid glue. And I have mine in a precision point bottle so that I can have a very fine tip. And I'm just going to put that all along all the edges in a very small amount, because you don't want it oozing out. And I am going to put it in the center of that frame. And then we're going to place this on our card front. Okay, and I will give you a hint that a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of cardstock will cut off some of your leaves for this embossing, or this die cut and the embossing folder. But that's okay, because they kind of go at the bottom, and so it's alright that they are not quite even. Okay, alright, now I'm going to go ahead and stick down my inside greeting. And I'm just using my Seal Plus for this. It's just quicker while I'm on the video. I've been using the liquid glue for most of my cards, and I'm almost out, so I've got that on order. Okay, so there's the front now, or that's the inside. Here's the front we're going to finish, and it just says, Thinking of You This Festive Season. And we could leave it at that, but I am going to put on a little bit of ribbon, and this is the Blushing Bride frayed ribbon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it first with a glue dot. I'm going to put the two pieces together so that they fold over nice for me, because I want them kind of flat. I don't want that to be a big lump under my card. Scissors. And I always have two pairs of scissors, one that I cut my ribbon with and my paper, and one that I cut sticky stuff with. Okay, Cherie, you catch me on the replay. Thanks for coming in. So we're going to lay that right there so that it's kind of coming out the corner, and we can give it a haircut if we think it's too long yet. So for this, I'm going to use my glue, And I am going to attach my little ribbon. I'm going to do it with a glue dot, but I am also going to put a tad of glue on it so that it will stick, hopefully forever. I know one of my biggest fears is that one of my cards will come apart with the recipient. And it's like, oh, they might be able to find my mistakes if it comes apart. Just like using the front of the card if it's already been stamped. So we do need to cut off our little tails here. Let's give this a little bit of a haircut. Because like I said, I didn't want it real thick in the center of my card. Oops. That one didn't cut very nice. Let me get that again. There we go. Now we're going to go ahead and use this and put this down. And I'm going to attach that with pop dots, I think. If you hear a squeak, it's my drawer. I need to get some soap to rub on it. By popping this up, it's not going to be that thickness there by where the bow is at. Originally, I had thought I wouldn't put it up on dimensionals, but after working with this, I'm thinking that the dimensional is a good idea because, one, it will help hold that ribbon, but two, it's going to lift it up and it's not going to have that bulk that we don't necessarily want. Okay, now we are going to use some of the subtle shimmer sequins. This came with the Peaceful Cabin suite, and these are little shimmer like confetti sequins. They are not adhesived by themselves. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to use the silver ones. I've got some on the top of my lid here. Got my take my pick tool, and I'm going to place just a few little dots of glue where I want to put these sequins at, so that it just kind of gives us some bling on the front. And these are white and silver, so I'm using my take your pick tool. And if it would release for me, sometimes that take your pick putty doesn't want to. So it has two ends. This is the pointy end, and you can take it off. And then it has a spatula end, which is really nice for lifting things up and repositioning them. This end has the putty in it, so it will. You can twist it up to get the putty, and we do sell refills for that, so that is a good thing. We're going to add another little gem right here on our Blushing Bride. And I think I'm going to use a small one. These do have different sizes. I'm going to use those tweezers to hold that down so that I can get my take your pick tool off. Like I said, sometimes with these little teeny tiny ones, they don't want to stick real well. They will, but you have to get it off your tool first. And I've got that one stuck down now with the glue. And then I think we're going to put another one down here. And again, I'm going to pick up a big one. And there's that one. So, see, I told you that was a very fast and simple card, but yet it looks really pretty. And pink is not one of my traditional Christmas colors that I would make cards with, but I have seen so many this year using the pinks that I'm really liking that. So that is card number 2. Card number 3, we used the, I'm going to set these aside so that I don't spill them, but we're using them on the next one too. We are using the same embossing folder, but this time I cut it out. So I'm going to show you after I get done making this card how to do that, okay? So this is going to go on the front, Then I have the sentiments on the inside that says, "Together is the merriest place to be," and "Merry Christmas." This Merry Christmas is from the, I have it here. Here it is. This is from the October Paper Pumpkin, which was the Peaceful Creations, or no, Peaceful Christmas, I'm sorry. And this set of stamps and the paper that came in that Paper Pumpkin matched the cabin die, the Peaceful Place paper. And the Merry Christmas is just really pretty. I love the font on it. So that's the one that I chose. But you can most certainly use any greeting that you want. I did not put a greeting on the front of this one, and I will tell you why. Because I thought that it would take away from my little angel that I had embossed in white. I wanted her to be the focal point, and so I didn't want a greeting to distract from that. But you can make it your card by adding a greeting to the front. And these stamp sets are still available in the catalog in my online store. And now we're going to lay down our die cut and embossed frame. And again, I'm going to use my glue on this. Another really good reason why you want to use glue sometimes on things, especially things like this, is that it does give you a little bit of wiggle room, that if it doesn't go on straight, you can pick it up and move it a little bit. Whereas sometimes with the Seal Plus or the tear and tape, those things really adhere quickly and they stick really hard. You can't get them off. So I've got a leaf at the top that has kind of a squared off point and a leaf at the bottom. So those I'm matching up with the bottom of my card base. Okay, now here's our little angel. So she's going to go there, and we are going to put, I don't know, you all tell me, should I put the ribbon like I did on this card, or should I tie a bow, or just a faux knot? We could do just a faux knot and put it on the corner of the card. So give me your opinions, ladies. Tell me whether I should go ribbon like this or the faux bow. I'll give you a few minutes here to comment what your choice is while I clean up my little bits here so that I can get my, did everybody leave me? I'm not getting any replies. Because if you don't give me a reply, I'm going to have to make the decision, and you may not like that decision. Okay, so my assistants, oh, you're asking, okay, so Cindy says the bow, like card number 1 where I just did the ribbon, or the knot bow. You want the faux bow? I kind of like the faux bow. I think it gives it a different kind of look than just that. So we've only got one vote so far, and I've got my scraps and stuff all picked up, so we're going with the little faux bow knot here, and we're going to put it on with a glue dot, but I am going to also add a little bit of glue to it. Okay. Whoops, I guess I'd better adhere this down so that the knot, okay. Oh, well, hello, Shirley. You just popped in, didn't you? Seems like it was just this morning I talked to you. Maybe because I did. Alright, so here's our little angel girl. She's going to go right in the center of our frame. And here is our bow, our faux bow. And it's going to go right there in the corner. And I'm going to take my scissors and give it a snip to make the tail shorter. Come on. I don't know about anybody else, but my hands get so dry in the wintertime, especially when I'm working with all the paper that I work with. It's like, oh my gosh, and I'm always putting lotion on it. Now it's time for our little sequins. And this time we're going to add maybe a few more because we have some pink space up here. So we're going to add a couple up here. Of course, you know, the sequins are not turned the right direction that you want them to be. I would say that this is probably the hardest thing of this card, is getting the sequins put down on the paper. If I had little, I didn't want to go with the gems like the, oh yes, the rhinestones. I didn't want that much bulk. I didn't want those. Could have put that one down a little bit more, but I didn't. Now we're going to add one down here to our embossing folder. And let's add one up here. So that's 4, and we'll add one down here. That's 5. So we still have an odd number, which is what you usually want to do, is have an odd number of gems. Like I said, I had the girls making cards the other day, and 2 of them have never stamped before. And I had them stamping the greeting on the outside and then stamping the greeting on the inside. And then they assembled the cards. And we're talking, I was working with 2 girls. One is a kindergartner and the other one's in 1st grade. And they did such an amazing job. Okay, the only ones that I don't like on here are these 2 up here. I'm going to see if I can shift it down. I have to get another one. I've got glue all over my hands. Alright. So did everybody get my newsletter that I sent out? I'm hoping so. Also, I was very busy sending out emails yesterday. The retiring list and the continuing list came out. And so I sent that to everybody. So what the continuing list means is that they will be available after the 31st of December while supplies last. So if there is a stamp set that's on that list that you want, I wouldn't necessarily wait to order it until January because they may sell out, but then they may not. So it's just a chance that you take. So there is our second card with our little angel on the front. What do you think about that one, ladies? So those are our 3 cards. Let me put them all out here for you to see. So we have 2, 3, and 1. So the pink ones are made with the Blushing Bride, and they are just so soft. They're just, I don't know, they really talk to me. I don't know, maybe they don't talk to everybody, but you could definitely do this with any color that you want. I mean, you could go traditional colors and emboss a green piece of the paper, or you could still keep it with green and white or red and white. So I'm going to set those cards aside. Now let me bring in my Big Shot, not my Big Shot, I'm sorry, my cut and emboss machine. And I am going to show you the different ways you can use the embossing folder and the dies. So there's 3 different dies. And I've got them sitting here next to me, so give me just a second. Alright, so for what's really bad is that, I've just done this morning and I'm having to remember. Okay, so can you all see my machine, or do I need to refocus it somewhere, or do I need to lift it up? Okay, let me lift up my camera real quick so that you can actually see what I'm doing. I'm going to close it and give you a black screen for a second, ladies. Oops. Okay, how's that, Dorothy?
I don't know. It's better. That's better.
Okay, I'm back. All right. Well, I don't have it back on my phone, but it will take a little while. All right, so this is, let me first show you. This was just using the embossing folder, so I don't really need to show you how that works, okay? That's just putting in a piece of paper and running it through. Now, this die here is embossed, and then it's die cut. So let me show you how we do that. So first we're going to emboss our piece of paper, and I have this at the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. The folders I put side up because when I'm demonstrating or I have it at a class, then I don't have to tell everybody what they need to do all the time. I can just say, look for the side that says side up, and that goes up. So make sure that your embossing folder is straight, which I'm trying to. They do have a little line down here at the bottom that you can use as a guide. So because we are using the embossing folder, we are not going to be using plates number 2 or the 2-3 plates. We are going to be using plate number 1 and plate number 4, which is your gray one. And this is the plate that you always want to use when you're using the 3D embossing folders. You always want to place your embossing folder with the fold part going into the machine first. And then you're going to run it through the Stampin' Cut. Okay? When you take it out, then this is what you'll get, which is just that embossed piece. Okay? Now we're going to take the die, and you can, that's not what I want to do. I want to take, give me a minute, let me find my correct die that I want. I had it here. Here it is. Okay, so this is the die that's going to cut out what we did here on this card. Okay, yes. What? Yes. Okay, so then I take this die after I've embossed it, and I line up the embossed parts of it. Okay, and see here how this one is kind of off the paper. It's okay. So they must be here to pick up my trash because my dogs are going crazy. So now, because we are die cutting this, I'm going to bring back in my plate 1, my plate number 2, one number 3, and then I'm going to lay this down, and I'm going to cover it with my plate number 3, my second plate number 3. Okay? And then I'm going to cut that. So, this is how you then cut with this die. And this is what you get, is this. And you have to pull all those little pieces out, and that's why it's a good idea to have the little brush and the mat, the styrofoam mat, like this, that you can take and rub those pieces out with. This is the old brush. Now they have a brush that attaches to your take your pick tool. But my brush works just fine, so I'm not buying another brush right now until this one breaks. Okay? And if they don't all come out that way, then I just take my take your pick tool and I just poke them out, which I kind of find relaxing, because then I can kind of think that maybe I'm poking out bad things that are happening. Okay, so that is how you can do with the embossing folder and then die cutting it with this. Now there's one more way that you can use this because it is called a hybrid embossing folder. So we're going to use plate number. I gotta turn my fan back up high. I am just like, I cannot believe how warm it is outside, and then my lights in my room get really hot. So if it starts making too much noise, let me know if you can't hear me, because it's really on high now. Let me turn it down a notch. Alright, so our next one, we are going to be using the embossing folder and the open die. The open die will cut it out, and the embossing folder will emboss it all at one time. The trick to this is you have to line it up with your embossing folder into the grooves. You can't see it on camera, but this fits down inside that embossing folder. Okay? So it's not really going to go anywhere or shift if you have it placed in that embossing folder correctly. So now I'm going to put my paper back in it, fold it up. I'm going to flip it over, and I am going to use my number 1 plate and my number 4 plate because we are embossing and we're die cutting at the same time. And that is what you get when you do that, which is like I did on card number 2 or 3. So this is how I die cut and embossed it at one time. So does anybody have any questions on this hybrid embossing folder? And if you don't remember what you have to do first, make little notes. I did on this one so that I could remember how I needed to demonstrate this to you, that I needed to emboss it first and then line up the die on my embossed image so that I would cut it out then. You can do it the other way where you cut it first and then emboss it. I just found it easier to take my die and place it versus taking the embossing folder and trying to line it up with my pre-cut die. Okay, so I know that, Cindy, does that make sense for you now on that embossing folder? And that is the way that all of the hybrid embossing folders will work. It will usually have a die that will fit inside the folder itself, where it will lay in there, like this one does, as long as you have it flipped to the right direction here. Oh, that's why. You got to have it going in the right direction, and I was not. See? Sometimes, oh, I know. It has to go on this side, I think. No, it goes on the front side because I played with it. There we go. So I just have to remember I haven't worked with this a lot. In fact, I haven't worked a whole lot with any of these stamps from the Merriest Moments, but I have great news. I believe that the Merriest Moments is going to be returning next July till December in our mini catalog, which brings me to the next things, ladies. I am going to come back this evening and do a page-by-page walkthrough of the catalog, the mini catalog, to show you and explain to you what is coming back for the 2022 July to December mini catalog, and what is being retired that is not coming back, plus those items that are going to still be available after the 31st of December. So be watching. It'll probably be long around, I don't know, about 6 o'clock tonight that I come back and get on. If you don't catch me live, that's okay. It will be recorded, so you can come back and watch the replay. So everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Don't forget, make a comment so that I can enter your name into the drawing for the 3 cards that we made this week. Okay? Thank you very much, and we will see you next week for another 3 on Thursday using some brand new product. Bye!